It was a very busy time on the island of Sodor, and all the engines were working very hard. But Thomas was working extra hard, as he pulled the last truck into the station. He said, a rest would be nice, but I have my duties to do, and the Fat Controller relies on me to run my branch line, he said. Just then the Fat Controller arrived. Thomas, he boomed, I have got another engine to come and help you. You need to work harder at your branch line, he said. So, I am bringing an engine to help. Who is it? Said Thomas. It is. Then suddenly, his voice was interrupted by a loud whoosh, and then a large blue engine puffed in beside Thomas.
Howdy, Thomas. Let big old Hank help out,
said Hank. Hello, Hank, said Thomas. Oh, it'll be great to work with you. The Fat Controller had given them a job. They had to go to the docks to collect a special heavy goods train. They soon puffed out and were going to the docks. Soon the engines arrived at the docks. Cranky the crane was just unloading the last piece of cargo out of Bulstrode, the barge, into the last truck. It's a very big line of trucks, laughed Cranky, for such a small engine like you, Thomas. You're just a little blue bug. A bug, said Thomas. I'm not a bug. Why, I am a tank engine, he said.
Thomas, you're a bit too small to pull those trucks. Let big old Hank help out,
said Hank. So, Thomas didn't want Hank to pull the train. Thomas wanted to pull it. But the yard manager ended up coupling up Hank. Oh, well, said Thomas, I suppose Hank could pull it for a change. Thomas really wanted to pull that train. So on the way back to Tidmouth Sheds, he had to wait at a level crossing. Oh, well, said Thomas. I suppose Hank will only do a small amount of my work. But, said Thomas, Percy is waiting for me at Knapford Station. He wants me to pull a goods train to Wellsworth Station. Anyway, when Thomas arrived, Percy was there. Hello, Percy, said Thomas. I see you've got my trucks ready. Your trucks, said Percy. They're not yours. They are, said Thomas. The Fat Controller told me. Ah, said Percy, looking at Thomas. That's Hank is now pulling this train. Hank, said Thomas. Just then Hank puffed down and back down on the train and was coupled up. Thomas was very, very cross. Hank thinks I'm a silly little engine. Thomas was all sad, so he puffed back to Tidmouth Sheds. It's not fair, said Thomas. I want to pull those trains. I wanted to show the Fat Controller how powerful and useful I am. Just then Hank puffed in looking for Thomas. Hank, said Thomas as he looked at him, I don't want you to help me anymore. I can do some of this work on my own. Look, as Thomas looked at Hank. Hank sighed and knew that Thomas was right.
I promise that I won't help now,
said Hank. Thomas was delighted. Oh, thank you, Hank, he said, but you can do some of the big work. Hank smiled, and he knew he had a new friend in Hank. So the next time when Hank was waiting at Knapford Station, the Fat Controller came and told Thomas he had to get a special goods train to Marron Station this time. The Fat Controller asked Hank, but Hank said Thomas was to pull it. Thomas was very happy.
You're a mighty fine little engine, little Thomas,
said Hank, and Thomas puffed away.